Hello, and welcome to your spiritual journey. Right now, your soul is speaking to you. I'm Jenny Israel, and I'm a medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. It is my mission to help you learn the tools you need to heal your life and discover your deeper purpose. In each episode, I will allow Spirit to speak through me, and we will explore energy forecasting, teach you how to raise your vibration for overall wellness, increase your emotional intelligence to open up joy in your life, and guide you into spiritual evolution using topics such as energy healing, emotion code, sacred geometry, numerology, tarot, crystals, channeling, and much more. Take a deep inhale, let it out, and listen to your soul speak to you. Hello, and welcome back to Soul Speak with Jenny Israel. Today is Sunday, November 22nd, 2020. And I wanted to do a weekly forecast for you and talk a little bit about the energy of this incoming week. And we're going to start with the numerology of today. It is actually quite similar to the energy of the 1111 portal. If you listen to that podcast, we talked about the numerology of the master number 11. We talked about the numerology of the 22, and we talked about the numerology of the 44. So we have, again, a repeating energy of the 11 and the 22. And so we're right out of the gate, we're looking at the energy once again of the blueprints of your thoughts and the power of co-creating and the power of manifesting. And it all begins with a thought form. That thought form drops in a co-creative way, creating inspiration, creating motivation, creating anticipation or excitement, usually inside of the beginning of any new project. We have this wonderful manifestation thought energy that drops in for us. Now, what's interesting is that we would automatically assume that this mental energy or this thought energy is just about the head, but this is actually not the case. We're dropping down into the creative center of the body, and that actually aligns with our sacral chakra. And for those of you who follow me know that I've been doing quite a lot of talking about the sacral chakra over the last couple of months because on a global level, this is where we're at. Humanity is really digging. And what's really interesting is that I'm sure that everyone at some point over the last couple of years inside of the current political administration has probably heard the term dredging the swamps. And what I find really interesting about this is that on a collective level, this has actually become something that's going on inside of our bodies. Down deep inside the sacral chakra is the bridge to our root chakra. So the root chakra is the beginning of the Kundalini channel. It's part of our grounding system. It's located all the way at the base of the tailbone, and it is associated with our foundation, with our primal needs, all about survival and safety and support. When we start to merge that energy into the sacral chakra, we use those foundations to start creating a reality. And the honest truth is that as beings on this planet, we are children of God, and we are entitled to happiness. And inside of that entitlement to joy and happiness and fulfillment is the ability to create our desires. And this is the co-creation process that I've often talked about in partnership with Source, and that the creative mind is very much attached to our ability to feel. So the thought form comes in, it inspires an emotion, and then drops down into our sacral chakra in order to start the co-creative process. We can feel our way through whatever it is that we are co-creating and building, because that is just as important of a navigational compass as our mental body is. And the combination of using the intellect and the power of our mind, along with the power of our emotions, is what creates a balanced being. And so inside of that balance, we start to see shift. We start to see change. And let's be real, change is really the only constant that we have in our lives. And what's interesting about the 11/22/2020 day is that if we add it all up, we're looking at the master number of 55. And so we're looking at the power of the vibration of the number 5 is all about movement. It's all about action. It's all about change. And what's very interesting about the 5 is it actually has a pretty dynamic duality to it. The number 5 is actually associated with the astrological sign of Gemini. So we do see the twin power here. And we can often see the mirror image of that twin, right? So it's the illuminated state and the shadow state. And in any given moment, that being able to switch, and quite spontaneously. If you know any Geminis in your life, I'm sure that you can actually see that inside of their personality, that at any given moment they can switch personalities and become this other person, this other side of themselves. And Geminis also value very much communication and the importance of being heard, not just, and here we go back to the throat chakra. Okay, so the throat chakra, a healthy throat chakra is not just about speaking your mind or speaking your voice. It's also about the connection to listening. So are you hearing the person that's speaking to you, or is the person that you're speaking to and attempting to express your truth to actually hearing you? Do you feel acknowledged and validated? Do you actually feel heard? So these two components actually make up a very balanced throat chakra. And there is an intimate connection between the sacral chakra and the throat chakra. You can't bring something into birth or co-create any new desire without a very healthy and open expression channel. And that's your throat chakra. And so here we start to see the vibration of the 5 lands inside of also the creative process, bringing it in to motion, bringing it into whatever shift or change needs to happen and whatever adventure might start with that. But we're also looking at the vibration of communication, which is associated with the planet Mercury and also associated with the number 5. So we have some really interesting dynamics coming into this week. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about what we were going through last week. I did introduce the portal of 11/11 and talked a little bit about detox, talked a little bit about shedding, talked a little bit about really digging into the dynamics of the sacral work that's going on right now, which is shadow work, it's inner child work. And what is all that about? A lot of it is about digging into the past, right? It's about bringing up, dredging that swamp and bringing up old trauma. And the reason being is because there are lessons to be learned about self inside of those events. And potentially how we could shift ourselves into a more authentic identity, into a more authentic expression of ourselves and inside of our desires, and be able to, I guess, not reverse the karma, but bring it to completion, bring it to a full circle. So you're not in repetition of that experience. This happens a lot inside of these lessons that we've brought in through our soul contracts in our lifetime, to be able to process these soul level lessons and values to create a stronger version of ourselves who feels their worth and is deserving of love and deserving of having their desires fulfilled. And then inside of that, rediscovering our personal power that allows us to co-create our reality, the one that we really authentically and truly wish to have. So inside of this work that is often quite challenging because we are digging into emotional energy or old trauma vibrations inside of the mind. And we're bringing that up so our body doesn't have to hold on to it anymore. And inside of what we're doing, dredging the swamp in our sacral chakra, bringing up that old stuff, processing it through our conscious mind, processing it through the heart, applying love, compassion, and forgiveness to self or to others inside of that process, moves it and lifts it out of the body and creates this wonderful gasoline to move forward and to be able to create action in our lives. Now, think about it from the perspective of the womb, okay? Because down in the sacral chakra, we do have the womb, whether it be physical if you're a woman or proverbial if you're a man. This is where we create new things. We create new beginnings. We germinate the possibility of bringing something into form. So it is our womb where we are incubating, we are conceiving and growing something to full term so it can then be manifested and brought into form through our solar plexus. And so if you are full down there, if your womb and your sacral chakra is full of these old emotions, old traumas, old mental vibrations, where is there space to create new? And create and manifest something that you truly wish to have in your life. It's just echoes of the past that will continue to reverberate through your body. Your reality is a mirror of what's going on inside of you. So here we see old self-sabotage patterns repeating themselves again and again. So last week when we did talk about detox, making space, doing the shadow work, doing the inner child work, that we're really being pushed down in this pressure cooker to revisit these things and clean them out of the body is also detoxing on a physical level. And I'm experiencing this myself, certainly at a higher level than I am used to, but it's a lot of people that I'm talking to are experiencing some level of this. And when we think about the physical aspect of the sacral chakra, we're looking at colon, we're looking at large intestine, we're looking at the reproductive organs, we're looking at bladder, we're looking at a lot of those things. Think about what's going on in the physical body down there. We're also looking at foundational stuff, so lower back pain, hip and pelvis issues, connective tissue inflammation, so we have to look at the front and the back side of the body. It's not just about what's happening on the front or, with the internal organs. We're also looking at structural issues. And so if anybody has been experiencing these things, this is sacral movement. And it's the body supporting us in detoxing this old stuff. And sometimes it can be, like I said, it can have challenging aspects to it. But for those of you who have done work with me, and I talk to my clients about this all the time, that we learn as we grow inside of our emotional intelligence that we can actually start to grow in a way that we can actually pop outside of our bodies for a moment and observe ourselves. And from that objective observer perspective, we can actually see ourselves in a little bit of an emotionally detached way and start to observe our cycles, our behaviors, our mental patterns. We can really start to see how it connects to certain actions or events inside of our life, where we can become so in tune with our bodies that we instantly understand why our body is responding the way it is, because you just had a confrontational conversation with your spouse, or something's going on with mom and dad, or something's going on with one of your kids, and it's connecting with that sacral chakra, which also is our partnership sector. So that partnership sector, the relationship sector. So a lot of our relationship dynamics in all beginning with ourself. What is our relationship with ourself? And then how is that mirrored inside of our partnerships? This is a big topic of movement when we hit that new moon in Scorpio last weekend. So there's been a lot of partnership clearing. That's also sacral related. So we can see a lot of this going on, and I don't see this stopping really anytime soon. Yes, we are coming to the end of our Scorpio time. But we are still in this movement of change. And you can't create something new until you've made space for it. And so this is what we're being driven to do, but on some of the deepest levels that we have ever been driven into. So we're going to start to see some things come up that are either super buried in the unconscious or subconscious, maybe something you haven't thought about in a really long time, maybe new aha connections inside of that mental blueprint where your conscious mind is actually starting to create these really interesting connections. And this is also the 5 energy coming in, because there's a lot of investigative kind of energy inside of the 5. It's really looking for unconventional connections inside of things. It can be a little rebellious, looking outside of the box, standing outside of the box, and potentially looking at things in a completely new way in order to come up with a new way of problem solving in a very creative format. And the supportive, even though we're doing a lot of work inside the sacral chakra, we're really looking at the expression of it at this point. We're looking at it coming out of our bodies, whether that be through conversations, whether it be through new ideas, whether it be through new creative projects or processes. Maybe you're being driven to pick up your paintbrush. Maybe you're being driven to turn on your computer and start writing, start journaling. There's all of these different ways that we can move energy through our throat chakra and exercise that. And so this is, if you're into crystals or color therapy, we're looking at that turquoise, that green-blue family of vibration. And for those of you who are into essential oils, we're looking for the mix of like the sensual oils as well as the grounding oils. So the ones that are a little bit more fragrant, like the ylang ylang or a gardenia, a magnolia, those kinds of, or like a jasmine flower, that have a little bit more of a sensual scent to them. But then we're also looking at the woodsy scents, the patchoulis, the sandalwoods, the tree oils, hoe wood, rosewood, to really ground us in this change that's being inspired right now. Staying grounded inside of Mother Earth is the best way that we can hold a foundation for ourselves, because even as everything around us is shifting, even as Mother Earth is shifting in her vibration, it's still solid under our feet. And so really connecting with that, getting yourself an earthing mat. You can get some really good earthing mats or earthing sheets on Amazon for not a lot of money, under $50. You can make an investment and get something. But the traditional Schumann's resonance inside of the polarity balance and opening our oxygen systems. It's feeding oxygen to our organs, feeding oxygen into our brains, really feeding oxygen down into all of the organs in our detox system. And if you think about how we breathe on a daily basis, we're really not breathing down into the body. Most of our breath is fairly shallow and is really only reaching the top part of our lungs. And we're not getting nearly the percentage of oxygen down into the microcapillary of the body, microcapillary level of the body that we really should be, in order to allow the body to have an experience where it has all of the nutrients and oxygen and minerals and balance that it needs to heal itself. And so the earthing mats actually are a wonderful way to maximize whatever it is that you're doing for your body on an energetic level, to make sure that it's being circulated through the body in that way. So we are starting to look at the dynamic of change going into this week. We do have Mars now direct, and so I'm sure that has brought some action into a lot of people, bringing a renewed kind of fire down in the belly. But we do have this juxtaposition of where we're still kind of low on our energy. We're feeling tired. Our bodies are adjusting to some major energetic shifts right now on every level, and it is creating some fatigue and even some, I've said it myself, like just my soul being tired, like being tired on that level. And so inside of this time period, it's also a really good idea to just move energy in your house, create movement in the home, do some nesting, clean out some closets, get rid of some old stuff. These are very human things we can do inside of our home to feel supported and feel comforted, cook a good meal, clean out some closets, sit and read a good book, like just really doing human things inside of our homes and establishing kind of that nesting feeling. And that can help stabilize us to continue on with this momentum of change. It is energizing. It's that recuperation time. And so not forgetting that we do really need that right now, that even though you might be feeling motivated and inspired and this new action vibration, that we're not burning the candle at both ends, that we're not beating ourselves down, that we're managing our expectations of what we can do inside of the word productive and really being kind to ourselves. This is a really important component to sacral healing. Finding compassion, love, and forgiveness on an unconditional level is what will cultivate worthiness, deservedness, our ability to accept that we are allowed to feel good. We are allowed to experience pleasure in our lives. We are allowed to have sexual and sensual experiences with our partner. We are allowed to do these things. And these levels of play, which I talked about with Kelly Lynn Adams yesterday, if you haven't listened to that podcast, I highly suggest it. Talking about that powerful movement of playtime and how good it feels inside of our bodies. And that is what produces a connection with the universal energy of abundance. It's how we can co-create abundance in our lives because we're moving those vibrations that are equal to lack out of our bodies and bringing in joy and bringing in play and bringing in sensuality and pleasure. So as we go into this week, I'd like you to be mindful of the balance inside of this. That yes, we are starting to push forward. We are starting to create momentum for change. And inside of that, checking in, making sure you're checking in with yourself, checking in with your body, checking in with your mental energy, your emotional energy, making space for some healing time for you. So we don't have a missed opportunity where our body is presenting us with these old past traumas or these old limiting beliefs or these old versions of self that aren't supporting where we're going anymore. And that we can actually go through that process of clearing to completion. So we're not moving back into old karmic cycles again. And so really being in that place of self-care. And what's interesting is that, I actually pulled a couple of cards from two of the decks that I have here. One is the Archangel Raphael Healing Oracle card set, and then the other is the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery Oracle from Amanda Ellis. So I pulled two cards to support our weekly forecast for this week. And the first one that I pulled was from the Archangel Raphael Healing deck, and it was alternative medicine, which the message that's on the card is, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for guiding me to the ideal healing treatment modality and for giving me clear signs and messages to validate the best path for my well-being. And so alternative medicine, what does this mean to me? So this is a card that talks about really the vibration of the 5 again, right? Like thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of conventional care for yourself. I've had, a good friend of mine say to me, it's time for radical self-care. And what does that mean? That means potentially trying something on an energetic level that you haven't tried before. So what do we consider alternative medicine? We consider it more on an energy level that matches and resonates with the body. So we're looking at massage, we're looking at acupuncture, acupressure, we're looking at different energy healing modalities. We're looking at crystal healing, essential oil and herbal therapies, things that are going to stir your body on an energetic level that is not necessarily synthetic or conventional like we think. Going to the doctor, making an appointment, getting a prescription for an antibiotic. This is one thing that we have available to us to support our healthy bodies, but that's only one small percentage of what's available to you out there to support this detox clearing in your body on a mental, emotional, and physical state. And so starting to pursue this deeper connection on a spiritual level and seeing where it guides you, and potentially making some appointments for yourself. We're moving into the holiday season, so why not gift yourself with some healing of some sort? And so this is what the alternative medicine means to me. It's something that's a little bit outside of the box for you. It might be something that feels a little uncomfortable or new. Maybe you don't know a whole lot about it, but you're really being drawn to it. Looking at new ways of self-care inside of this alternative perspective. Very supported by this 5 energy right now. And the card that I pulled from the Amanda Ellis deck is the Conquering Fear card. And the Conquering Fear card message is start today. This is so perfect for the sacral chakra work because so much of this old shadow work and this old inner child work has so much to do with our root chakra issues, which is about safety or fear. If you're not safe, you become afraid, right? If the things that you see as basic needs for your survival are threatened, we go into a fear-based place. We are living in a world right now that is really provoking these old ego-based fear-based thought patterns. And we're having to become very, very aware of that and be bigger than those old voices. To be able to conquer the fear energy is not about making the fear go away. It's about creating action in spite of the fear and doing it anyway. That's what courage is. The courage is being able to see where you are afraid, admit that you are afraid, and do it anyway. And this is how we're going to push to ourselves to the next level, is to be able to identify those things that are coming up and be able to still continue to move forward in our healing path, our expansion path, our co-creation path, to be able to create a new foundation that is built from our authentic self and not necessarily from the expectations of our society or our family or what we've been shown. Well, this is what success looks like. Going to a whole different level with this. And so inside of that conquering fear, a lot of us are looking at the vibration of the unknown because, okay, if I start momentum in this direction, what's going to happen? Who am I going to be? Am I going to be supported? And so we're really being challenged inside of our partnership with God Source to have faith, know that we are supported no matter what. If we are following our heart's desires and we are following our purpose and our passion, that we will be supported. It's difficult for our ego to let go of needing to know, needing to understand, to be able to see every outcome and plan for it. Sometimes we can't think our way through something. Sometimes we have to feel our way into it and give it to God. And so we're in a really interesting place of growth right now where we're being challenged on all of these levels. So as we go into this week, I give you your call to action is to find a new way to care for yourself this week. Find a new way to make space in your body, your mind, your heart for these new seeds of creation to be able to take root. Whatever that looks like, it could be something radical, like I said, or it could be just a small step in the direction of where you would like to go. But making sure that you are supporting yourself on some level with some self-care, trying something new, starting a new creative venture, really thinking to yourself, what's going to bring me joy? And to move those vibrations through your body this week. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope these messages can help you as you move through your week. And once again, thank you so much for joining me here on Soul Speak with Jenny Israel for your Soulful Sunday weekly forecast. And until next time, blessings and light to all. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Soul Speak. I'm Jenny Israel, medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. You can learn more by following me on Facebook or Instagram at Jenny Israel CPC. That's Jenny Israel, and then the letter CPC. If you would like to receive more messages from Spirit directly to your mailbox, visit jennyisrael.com, scroll down to the bottom, and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also contact me through my website or social media to set up a one-on-one session or to check out my upcoming spiritual development classes. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please help support my show by giving it a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts. Spirit and I will speak to you again soon. Blessings and light to all.